This is Ellen. Ellen was the very first limited agent sold in Zenless Zone Zero, and on a relative scale, she was also one of the most annoying agents to use. Fast forward to now, this is Ellen. Ellen is a very enjoyable agent to use. What? How? What changed? Howdy, I'm Yojimbo Blade, and today I'm exploring why I enjoy playing some agents more than others, and explaining my reasons why. Now, quick disclaimer, I appreciate and enjoy some gameplay aspect of every agent in this game, and I am trying to explain my feelings for why I enjoy some agents more than others, at least in terms of gameplay. That does not mean I am infallible, I just want to be upfront that my feelings and experiences will not be identical to yours. I don't want this to be about agreeing or disagreeing with me, I just want this to promote healthy discussion among players. One reason why I'm making this is because I heard a lot of players say that they felt Manato was too clunky, but he was also really fun to play. Usually those don't go together. Usually if a character feels clunky, they don't feel fun to play. So that got me thinking that now is a good time to discuss this. Most agents have a game plan, an ideal gameplay style that they want to achieve, and there is usually a setup or payoff for it, and that comes with a risk and reward associated with it. Agents with a bad setup and payoff typically feel worse to play than agents with a good setup and payoff. And agents with a very high risk but low reward setup and payoff will likely feel more challenging or punishing to play than agents whose setups and payoffs are lower risk but higher reward. These are kind of broad explanations, and that's intentional. It would be very simple to just say that everyone's game plan is to deal damage. But if that's the case, Astral has to be one of the worst agents in the game because she's very bad at dealing damage. That's not what she does. She helps other agents deal damage, but she doesn't really deal much damage. For my first example, I wanted to pick on Ellen because she's the first agent that was changed substantially for the better, and not just because of her damage. Ellen's game plan is to deal a lot of ice damage, and her setup requires her to do charged dash attacks, and her payoff is enhanced basic attacks. Or her dash, yeah, I know her dash attack, thank you. If you watched my tier list video, you heard me talk about this, but very briefly. On release, Ellen had a decent setup and payoff, partly because the speed of the game was much slower. By around 1.4, newer enemies and bosses were much more aggressive than they used to be, and as a result, Ellen's game plan was much weaker just by its very nature. Ellen's dodge counter has the second lowest damage multiplier in the entire game, only beating out Astral. To counter this, Ellen's charged dash attack had iframes and had anti-interrupt on her charging, and she could charge her dash attack much quicker after a perfect dodge. So instead of doing a dodge counter, you'll just charge up your dash attack, right? Sounds good. That was actually bad. See, Ellen's dash attack only had anti-interrupt if you were charging it by holding basic. But if you got hit as soon as you press the button, you technically haven't been charging, so you just take full damage and have to start over. And even if you manage to use the move perfectly, to perfectly dodge one attack, most enemies have multi-hitting moves, so as soon as you finish the move, you were still going to get hit. Of course, this also meant that if you tried to do this move after their first attack, you would likely just get hit. Either run around waiting, or you do dodge counters that deal very little damage until you can safely do her charged dash attack. Now, I'm not opposed to this. I think this is actually really fun because it ties into Ellen being a shark thyran, her gameplay being centered around timing her attacks as if she's hunting down her prey. I think that's pretty cool. It's like she was on a roaming hunt before she could, I don't know, Arctic ambush? Nah, that sounds silly. Anyway, the setup for her game plan is medium high risk, low reward. And part of the reason why it is because of the accessibility and commitment of her setup. By commitment, I mean that Ellen really doesn't have any other options she can do, and characters with high commitment are more likely to feel clunky. While in roaming hunt, she can dodge counter, she can dash attack, and she can EX. Dodge counter is safe, but it's pretty weak, although it does get you behind enemies, as long as they aren't too big. Her dash attack gives her one flash freeze charge, but that's unsafe. The charge version takes longer, but gives 3 flash freeze charges with some more safety. But because it takes longer, it's not really that much safer unless you're doing it right after a perfect dodge. And even then, it's still not safe because you'll still get hit. And that's just weird. EX is completely safe and gives 1 flash freeze charge, but it costs energy, so you can't rely on this the whole time. This is all really fun and engaging. I really enjoy this. Now, you wish the reward for this setup was a bit better, If only she had a way to get, I don't know, 6 flash freeze charges, because that's how many she can hold, instead of just 3. Or maybe just buff her regular dash attack from 1 charge to 3. Nah, that's ridiculous. They wouldn't do that. And they obviously wouldn't sell it. I mean, a gambling game wanting players to spend money, don't be crazy. They wouldn't actually want you to do that. So that setup is pretty challenging. So to compensate for that, the payoff is super powerful basics. What's great about her basic 3 is that it has a ton of iframes attached to it, and it fully tracks enemies. So she's really great at... Wait, what's that? It doesn't have any iframes, and it doesn't track enemies? Huh. Oh, but her basic 3 puts her behind enemies, right? So that means it's completely safe. Wait, what's that? Almost every new boss enemy will just automatically turn to where you are? Oh, so you'll still get hit. Well, at least her dodge counter doesn't interrupt her basic combo. So she can do a basic 2 and then do a dodge counter into a basic 3. And she can also do a basic 3 right after a charged dash attack. So that's actually really... Wait, what's that? She has to restart her basic combo if she does anything besides basic attack, and can only skip to basic 3 after an EX. And her basic 3 isn't even that powerful for how long you hold it. After her medium high risk, low reward setup, she has a high risk, low reward payoff. Ooh, yeah, that's rough. So as you can see, the issues I have with Ellen are not just because she has low damage. Her damage almost has nothing to do with it. The problem is that the way she wants to deal damage has a lengthy, unsafe, full committal setup and a very unsafe and underpowered payoff. Ellen has the worst of both situations. Her payoff and setup are all high risk, low reward. So if they were going to buff her, what could they do? Well, instead of just increasing her damage, I guess they could, I don't know, actually make her setup have more options and safety. That would have a better reward and less risk. They could let her flash freeze charges actually have a really good move to buff other than basic 3. That would make her payoff feel more rewarding. But why would they make those changes? They already got your money, suckers. Forget about her. Move on to the next agents where psych, introducing the Ellen buffs. Here are 2 brand new moves that she can use after more than half of the moves in her kit, and they're fully invincible, but they require flash freeze charges. And now you have a charged dash attack that is completely invincible and finishes as soon as she gets hit. So it has a built-in parry. There were some other small changes that weren't really important to her game plan, but those first 2 changes made Ellen feel so much better to play, and that's a good thing. I did not pull for Ellen, but I will defend that her game plan was really fun, but I could not defend how lame her payoff felt. Now Ellen has a really solid game feel, even if it doesn't quite fit into the whole roaming shark aspect. Chaining her dash attack parries can look pretty funny though. And I think this is a similar thing that happened to Soldier Zero Ambi. She had a game plan that is theoretically consistent and does a lot of damage, but she's kind of clunky, so it just feels awkward to use her. But she gets a makeover and wow, look at that. She does much better at doing the things she wants to do. They also gave her more damage in things labeled as aftershocks, which they didn't really need to, but that's nice. So before, her setup had a sort of medium risk, medium reward, and the payoff was a low risk, medium low reward. Now she has a low risk, medium reward setup with a low risk, medium high reward payoff. Compare this to Haramasa, who has so many challenges to overcome in his gameplay and skill execution while being very team reliant, that I would say he has a very high risk, medium reward setup with a very high risk, medium reward payoff. Now, all of this is to say that there are some agents that I enjoy playing more than others. And this is because I find their game plan more enjoyable. While I might find Soldier Zero Ambi's game plan a bit too simple, Haramasa's game plan might be a bit too punishing. And this is a good thing. Not every agent should be simple to play, and not every agent should be challenging. Very briefly on Miyabi, depending on how you want to play her, she can have a low risk, medium high reward setup and payoff, or she can have a medium risk, very high reward setup and payoff. It all depends on how you want to optimize her in different teams. Now, on to Manato, the one who started this conversation off. But before I get there, this video is sponsored by I Love My PC, and the rest of the names that you see on screen. Thank you guys so much. If you would like to become a sponsor, just become a member of the channel. It's that simple. And if that's not something you really feel like doing, totally fine. Just leaving a like and a comment is enough. Subscribe if you feel like it, and if you want others to see this, share this with them. I pointed this out in my Manato review, and I'll do it again pretty quickly. Manato's game plan is to spend and gain HP while doing enhanced basics and assist follow-ups. While Manato is not mechanically challenging to use, using him well requires a lot of improv skills. He does not have one game plan that he can just stick to, and that's why I find him really engaging. For his setup, Manato wants to charge his special, which is pretty simple and takes a short time, and he has anti-interrupt with 40% damage reduction on the whole move. And at Mindscape 2, when he gets hit while using his special, he can go right into his assist follow-up. So that's a pretty good reward, and that's just on his special. Now that he's enhanced, what can he do? Well, he has a couple options, but they're all really dynamic. Manato doesn't just have a mash or hold basic play pattern. He has to make the right decisions at the right time. Manato has iframes on his basic 2 and 4, but he cannot cancel them once he does it, unless he uses his ult. He's fully committed to those moves. Assist follow-up is fully invincible with really good damage, but if an enemy is not stunned, they can just move away while you're doing the extended hits. Despite what some players might think, Manato can cancel this, he just needs to dash, which takes away a potential dodge that you could have used. On top of that, his special takes a bit of time to come out after a dodge. On top of that, Manato's dodge counter does less damage than your basic 4 or your assist follow-up, but it lets you skip to basic 3, and it also lets you do another move that you want to do much sooner. So there's a really fun push and pull puzzle with Manato. Basic 4 is simpler, has good damage, is invincible, but is fully committal. Special into assist follow-up is a bit more challenging to land, is mostly committal, but offers really good damage. Dodge is the safest out of all of these and allows you to use whatever move you want next. You can use a dodge counter, which deals the least damage and is non-committal, but lets you skip to basic 3, or maybe you hold special in hopes that you will be hit while charging it to use an assist follow-up. You could also dodge into your special, you could dodge into dodge counter into your special, you could dodge into your dodge counter into basic 3, into dodging out of that to press your special. This just scratches my brain in all the right ways. A mechanically simplistic character to use with a ton of useful yet committal options that depend on what the enemy is doing, and this requires a lot of improv to use well. If you are not comfortable doing that, you probably think Manato is too clunky. And that's completely fair. If you are comfortable doing this, you probably think Manato is very satisfying to use because he is balanced just right. A low risk, medium reward setup, while the payoff is medium high risk because of how safe but varied and committal his options are, with around a medium or medium high reward if executed properly. And for my final comparison, I will quickly talk about Yixuan and why I don't find her gameplay as engaging as Manato's. Yixuan is all about getting and spending adrenaline. She gets adrenaline naturally and has a ton of adrenaline regen in her kit by just doing the moves that she kind of needs to do in that moment. I think it's crazy that every second her perfect dodge can give her 5 adrenaline. There are a lot of players using her that have no idea this kind of stuff is in her kit simply because they don't need to think about it. So she has a low risk, high reward setup. You don't have to think about getting adrenaline with this character, it will just happen. And then, all of the moves that use adrenaline have a really long and wide range, are fully invincible, can be used at any time, and can be cancelled very quickly if you want to stop using it. The second ultimate you get from using adrenaline also has a wide range and is fully invincible, and then the Auric Ink Point is the exact same, except you can combo it into other moves and it also restores adrenaline. That's a very low risk, high reward payoff. And before anyone wants to tell me, yes, I know, she has some cool neat tricks with like shortcutting her animations or whatnot, but none of that has a meaningful change on her damage output. And a quick disclaimer, Yixuan is a well-designed agent for their target audience. I like that she is simpler to play and has some flashy cool moves. She is definitely an agent designed to help onboard new players in 2.0. The gambling game devs will not release a Void Hunter Superseller agent that is too challenging to play because they want players of all skill levels to be able to easily pick up and use them without a ton of effort required. Again, this is not a complaint. This is just an observation of game design. Just because I do not feel excited using Yixuan as much as others does not mean that her gameplay is objectively bad or something. It just doesn't suit my tastes. Yeah, that's about it. That's the video. I don't know if I want to make a super longer version of this video doing it for every character. Like, I don't think I need to do one for Pan, because like Pan's game plan is press EX. If you guys want to see more discussion videos like this, let me know down below. My name's Yojimbo Blade, and I hope you have a blessed day. Hope to see you soon.